Welcome after summer for our 6th DigiCafé, and I have the pleasure to have with me Anca Coriiu, and for sure this is going to be a very interesting conversation. And with your background, Anca, in our conversations, I always learn so much because economy is not my strongholder topic. And so it will be a very interesting conversation. So in the preparation of our DigiCafé, Anca and I, we kind of rounded about, a little bit this theme, which is quite broad, but we hope that this discussion will be relevant. So the current EA markets, and we've been having several conversations about the risks and also, the opportunities that we face, and big change. We have experienced big change in the last years, but change is a constant. We will experience even more change in the coming years, in months. So the theme is around how to address this. And during also economic change, we are facing a very confused period of economy, not necessarily easy to spot as a crisis or not. And so Anca will help us to clarify some of these issues. And in her view, in her perception, what are we dealing with? And for sure, we have many takeaways from this conversation. So Anca, welcome, first of all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be part of the EEP community and the EAEF community.
Yes. And it's always wonderful to hear you in conferences and learn so much about ROI calculations and how to actually, build this value. But Anca, as an economist, how do you see the current EP market? Employee assistance service, not necessarily just employee assistance programs, but how do you see these markets and how do you perceive what are the main risks, but also our opportunities as EA providers?
Oh, thank you for this question. The employee assistance market is actually a growing market. So everything looks bright on this side since COVID-19. Everybody realized that the mental health support demand grew. The companies realized that this demand is important to be satisfied because they could see their costs rising with resignations, with absences. So everybody got a bit more educated about mental health, and they went and purchased more employee assistance programs, but also other types of well-being programs. So the market is growing. This is the good news. Now, what is happening really now, and we could feel it this September, is the fact that while many companies have invested significantly in well-being, in employee assistance program, they never measure the outcomes. So here we are, we see year on year the costs raising with turnover, with disability, with long absences, with short absences. And then there is a lot of skepticism. Is it really effective? Should we renew the budget? It's like the financial decision makers are confused. No? They really wonder if it is a good return on investment to invest not only in EAP, but in a lot of well-being programs. So the risk is to see the budget cut. And to this risk, we have this digital solutions hype addition that is amplifying the risk. Yeah? So many companies are looking to invest in innovative solutions, and they are not even needing to prove outcomes or effectiveness because they are new and everybody would like to explore and they have the budget to do it. So part of this budget can be shifted to innovation in digital mental health solutions. There is one thing that I didn't mention yet, but I think it's important. We see the health insurers, the physical health insurance, importance growing. With the pressure on the national health systems that we see in every single country, especially in Europe, but not only, the importance of this provider that is a key benefit for all corporate counterparts, HR benefits, is important because this will drive a consolidation most probably of services and providers, So the second they would like to offer the EAP, and most probably they should, some of them, yeah, then the EAP market will suffer some movements as well. Now, on the opportunity side, the good news is that this market is growing. Okay, the question remains how much of this growth can be captured by employee assistance.
Mhm. And it's at the same time, Anca. So the idea market is growing. At the same time, there's more pressure on budget. So you need to show results more, but you need to navigate it in a way that you can compete with other offers, right? In a
True.
way. How do you think it's the best way to navigate this in terms of not only arguments, but then in the capacity to really build value, through your services? What, some lessons learned that you see with several partners that you already work with?
Well, I think the best way to address all the challenges is to prove outcomes. If you prove outcomes, then you make the benefits tangible for everyone. And the most accepted way to prove outcomes today in business and beyond is money, because money allows us to compare apples with peers. It's not because they are important, but really allow comparison. So if you manage to prove the return on investment of your services for the client, then of course all the discussions are going to be data-based and very sound, and you have a place at the right table, which is the budget discussion table.
Mm-hmm.
Now the employee assistance has this great benefit out of all the other solutions in the market. They have employee assistance industry has a very good methodology to measure effectiveness. So clinical effectiveness and effectiveness in decreasing the different type of costs that all the employers want to see, like the cost of absenteeism, presenteeism, cost of linked with turnover, cost linked with disability, accident, and healthcare in some countries where the corporate employer also provides, covers these costs. So because you have WOS, which is the proven methodology to validate effectiveness, it is very easy, for instance, for us at Wellcast ROI, this is what we do all the time, to transform this data in return on investment metrics. So for every kind of customer, for every customer, if we have the effectiveness data for the EAP, the price, the utilization, we can directly show the return on investment metrics. And this in a format that is very easy to read both by finance and non-finance people. And we can also show what is the minimum utilization, the maximum price that makes the service actually drive positive returns for a company, and what are the savings by type of cost. So when you have solid data, you can navigate all the challenges. Now, the other benefits of having data is that you can build trust and transparency with the client. If there is a price discussion, if there is a need for increased support or increased engagement to drive better utilization, a need for ancillary services, or in prevention, in post-intervention, so when you reintegrate the persons after work, then you can actually all the time prove what is the return on investment for every single product that you have or package. So this is key to demonstrate the link between the service that you are offering and the impact that you have not only on the health of the people, but also on the economic health of the organization. And this is something most of the technologically driven mental health platforms don't have. So they do not have today a validated measurement of effectiveness, but they are going to get there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What I find interesting also, because some of the, in my professional life, when I'm dealing with potential vendors or people that would like to buy, right? And sometimes you talk to HR, sometimes you talk to benefits, sometimes you talk to health already. There's someone for health. But you were mentioning the economic value is very important, but I think it depends on who you are speaking with in the organization, because for the new players in the market, sometimes they get a win because they are popular or because they are trendy, and people sometimes make the decisions based on that. So in this same economic context, and how do you perceive it, the economy evolving, do you think that these players also face the same challenges? They still need to prove their outcomes, they still need to move into this space, otherwise they will lose their competitive edge? What do you feel? How do you see?
At the moment, they do not need the same. But you make excellent points, about the counterparts and the discussion. So I will start from there and then go back to the competition. Now, for a long time, since COVID, actually, I've seen the efforts of employee assistance professionals to educate corporate market, HR, people and culture, benefits, everyone that, needed to listen on mental health issues, on the need to support people mental health. Now, this communication focus needs to change towards educating them in the outcomes and effectiveness of measures, right? And there is a lot of work to be done. Many people that, were so much involved with caring for other people, they don't have the habit of discussing data. And definitely they do have the capability, but there is an education step. And this I cannot see anyone that is better positioned to do but employee assistance, because you already know your effectiveness and you already have this data and you are working with it all the time. So you need to just do the step forward and also explain how this data impacts the different costs, have the ROI measure, and explain how to show the value of the HR department.
Mhm.
I had the other day a discussion with an HR, and he said, showing the ROI allows me to look at the finance director into the eyes. I was so surprised, but it's so true. So actually HR needs a bit of equipment and small education, layer to be able to defend the value of what they do and the value of the service you provide. And then to also ask the other providers, where are their outcomes? Where are their clinical outcomes? Where are their financial, economic outcomes? So this is the communication layer. Today, everything that is innovation in digital does not need so much to prove their value, because when you innovate and you explore innovation, you don't expect to see financial outcomes immediately. So there's no expectation towards them. While on EAP, we see the pressure, and it's also the price pressure, because a technological driven company has better margins than a human, very professional, human intensive company such as an EAP provider. So then for you, I think it's more important even, and you also have the capability to show the return on investment of your services. We have
You're
Harry
right.
joining.
Yes. Hello, Harry. Nice that you could come.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
But you mentioned something interesting. So I think, if we need to really argue and have clear arguments for specific key decision makers about, the value of our service, and I think the economic perspective is very important, but also, the social, I think the social impact, also reporting on, what are you doing for people, and, the quality of the services. And we're going to have another DigiCafé on also the quality of services and clinical governance and everything related to the more quality aspects, not just the return on investment. But I think, every offer that is in the market, and there is quite diverse landscape of offers in well-being and mental health, and different players, people that are not, entirely from the field of employee assistance, but they will need to compete for, a more scarce bundle of money to invest in this type of solutions. Do you have an optimist perspective on the evolution for employee assistance providers, such as the one that we have as members of EAEF? Do you have an optimistic perspective that we will survive, that we will adapt, that we'll be able to compete and improve our value?
Yes, I'm really optimistic about EAP. I'm a big fan. From all the well-being solutions I'm measuring, EAP has one of the best effectiveness, okay? And therefore, the ROI is great, even if very few people need to use it to pay for the entire service for all the employees. So this is one. I mean, you do have already the quality and the means to prove it. Now there is work to prove it, to educate the market, to educate maybe all the EAP providers as well on this economic aspect. But first thing, you do have everything in place to win. Let's say how much you will win as an employee assistance industry will actually depend on the capability to explore and partner with digital platforms. Because there is no future without digital platforms. As I think I said it already, but our young employees, they want to be health and lifestyle navigated by those digital platforms. They already invest by themselves there. So all the providers of mental health services will need to offer something that they can consume in the regular way they want to consume. Yeah. So I think there is going to lie the opportunity. With whom, in what terms, what is going to be your position at the table in a partnership with a platform provider that is a completely different, let's say, industry.
But also, do you see that competition actually could play a positive role? Because if you don't have any competition or you don't have new approaches or innovation, it means also for the other players will not grow also. So employee systems providers will grow, will have to adapt to new technologies, to new ways of service delivery, to improve outcomes, to engage the organization in different approaches, not just the typical EAP offer, but really enlarge. And that was the topic of our conference, unconventional ways, right? How can we deliver more value in different ways? But do you see competition as a good thing?
Yeah, competition is always a good thing because it pushes, it pushes innovation and also should, push quality, right? So competition is there. As I said it already, competition in employee assistance is not among the employee assistance players. It's competition versus technologically based mental health support platforms. So today it's a bit of an uneven competition. Huh? But it will push employee assistance to develop beyond what it offers today. And there are two developments possible. One is to position yourself as really like the expert, the guardian of the real, tangible well-being value. Yeah, prove it, educate the market because you are there and you know how to do it. And the other thing is to continue offering very highly effective services. I think the competition may come also from these personalized solutions. They are also technically enabled mental health support, digital support, but they are able to provide personalized guidance and also integrate much better with the insurer platforms, with other types of platforms in the health that we see. But today, the opportunity to improve and grow the importance of employee assistance and of all these professionals, very high number, very high quality of professionals in the industry. Well, there is no well-being hero today in digital world. Okay, so I think if EA manages well the transition to digital, which is happening, is not there yet.
It's already happening.
You can be the hero.
Yes, and also I think we had a discussion about also the role of technology with another member recently. I think it was the last conversation in July. Yes, with the topic on the technology, and if we embrace this change, and it doesn't need to be just the big players, because the small players and now technology is available also for the small players. But if you mentioning something very interesting, which is like it's a key trend in healthcare, not just in mental health care, which is personalization and actually being able to develop solutions that really add value, not just incorporating technology, but really adding the value. And then the return on investment actually plays a role because you can add a lot of AI, but it doesn't bring not even social value or economic value in the end. It could happen. Huh? There's a big online we can find big failures on AI implementation that actually doesn't add anything to the service or the results. But it's interesting that competition actually, if you incorporate and if you are a provider and you keep yourself open to innovation and you continue innovating, not necessarily radical innovation, but at least incremental, you will adapt to the market, right? And you will have your clients and your ability to provide your services and grow with the market, and not this perspective which I think other members of EAF have a more negative outlook. So that employee assistance is like facing life or threat, like a life threat at the moment.
No, I think you are there to stay. And I would like to add something on your very nice summary on how important the innovation is. It is equally important not to lose the tradition that you have built. I'll give you an example. When we are running an analysis on the highest costs ranking of the different conditions of employees in a bank, okay, we see mood disorders, anxiety, and alcohol misuse at the same level of cost punishment for the company. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to say is that some of the conditions that are mental health conditions that EAP has a tradition in addressing effectively are overlooked totally by the innovation. So what EA can bring, the employee assistance industry can bring, is also everything that you know and you have accumulated. The people's issues tend not to change too much, and you already know very, very well how to solve some of them effectively.
Mm-hmm. So it's not reinventing the wheel, right? So it means that we have kind of a specialization, a core, which, and I think it's a term that EPA, the American Association of Employee Assistance Professionals, and they use it a lot, the core technology, right? So there's specificities in capabilities that we have in the EA world that actually it's completely overlooked elsewhere, right? And
yes.
And it can bring us a clear advantage and a clear competitive edge in terms of really delivering value where it's needed. And we had in the first DigiCafé talk, we had Maisie with us, and she told, don't forget about alcohol and drug consumption.
Yes, you should not forget.
Because it's crucial that we get back to the same topics. They didn't disappear, on the contrary. So we need to really fulfill our destiny in terms of just embracing technology, innovation, scope sometimes, because we need to go beyond the typical EA offer. But at the same time, don't forget what we are specialized in, right? And the workplace also. We are specialized in the work. We are not like a global offer on mental health, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so having history is so important. I mean, really, advancing is crucial to survive, but bringing the history with you is really important. And I really want to mention the alcohol issue. I tried to engage in a social conversation on LinkedIn, which is maybe not the best place to engage, but I did try to engage in a conversation with employee assistance providers about alcohol misuse support, because I can see it in the numbers. It's huge as a loss for everyone, for employers, for employees, for the society, for the organizations, for the workplace. And there was very little interaction on the topic. I was surprised. I don't know, maybe it was the wrong platform, but I really want to state again what was said in the first DigiCafé. Don't forget that you're really specialized in alcohol misuse and workplace.
I was recently, this Tuesday, I was participating in a conference in Porto, Happiness Conference, and there was a presentation from Headspace, actually. And I kind of, the presentation was okay, of course, a lot of mindfulness, and they integrated a partner, Ginger, for coaching. So like it's a
I
fusion.
know Ginger,
Yeah. But at the same time, the level of content that they can bring to an employer, the level of expertise in advising how to, return to work policies, how to engage people that has some kind of disability, mental health, or any other family issue, and, any kind of situation. They are not experts in that at all. They don't have any kind of competence or knowledgeable or knowledge or experience in handling this kind of relationships. And I think we tend to forget that this is the main and core aspect of an employee assistance service, and that the advisement, the expertise, the management, like what can we do beyond, and really implement what the company needs, what the employer needs, and not just have a bland and global offer of things like a shop, which it's not an employee assistance service. It's not an employee assistance solution.
Yeah, indeed. And then everything can be measured, right? Except happiness. We did not find enough scientific evidence to transform it into effectiveness yet. But there are studies going on.
Yeah.
But everything you do can be measured, which is not really the case with everything platforms show and propose to purchase.
Yes. You mentioned in our last conference, last EAEF conference, a lot about comparisons between traditional EA offer and platforms or apps. I think it was apps. It was a study that you did on apps, right?
Yeah.
And the main takeaways, could you reshare it with us, for us to also prepare ourselves for the arguments when we are with a client trying to sell or trying to renew and enlarge our services?
Sure, with pleasure. First, when you are with a client and you have an argument, you should present a return on investment report that is specific to that client, not a big study. Because big numbers, we all have them at industry level, at country level. They don't speak with the client. The client doesn't know how much he should pay for that service. Yeah. So first, when you are with the client, first thing is to give him something that is really about his organization, his demographics, his employee assistance program. And this is something employee assistance programs can do with a Wellcast ROI calculator at very fast and automatically. But from the study that we have run for the EAEF conference, we were running a study with the Wellcast ROI calculator, and we were comparing 4 different countries that have different development stage in terms of employee assistance market. 4 services: employee assistance, a mental health app, a physical health app, and the 4th one is just, out of my radar. And the sleep app, the sleep application. Okay, so the key findings were the following. Now, the return on investment of employee assistance can be easily proven positive with the average market price of an employee assistance program and the average utilization currently in the respective market, regardless of geography. But even if the effectiveness of a mental health app is far lower, it can be maximum 20%, versus an employee assistance program effectiveness in dealing with employees' issues. And the employee assistance program effectiveness is around 86%. So even if the mental health app is far less expensive, its ROI can be far better. Why? Because they have better engagement, and especially where the employee assistance doesn't have an history and it has low utilization, well, the mental health app will have much higher utilization because it doesn't, deal with removing the stigma to pick up the phone. The other thing is they have price flexibility. Yeah, so you are a bit stuck with, covering the costs for all the human providers,
Mhm.
while a mental health app has very little running costs comparing with you. At any point in time, they can become more competitive. So this is a threat. Now, the other finding that I found amazing is the fact that the sleep app had a very good ROI, very close to EAP. Why is that? It's because sleep is great for productivity, really great. So we should all have good sleep, and this will, really bring financial positive impact for every one of us. Yeah. And the effectiveness of a sleep app can be easily proven as well, because there are biometrics that can be measured. So that was aha in the study. The other aha that was really surprising for me was the fact that the physical health app didn't have a good ROI. No, it was negative actually. Why is it negative? Can you guess? Liliana, you were not in the
People
session.
don't use it? I don't know. People don't. Low utilization, or there's a spike in early utilization and then.
Yeah, it's true. It is. Yes, Harry, tell me.
Is it because to be able to give that all that physical health information, there's a lot of specialist knowledge needed, so it's quite a high cost initially to set it up? Or is it maybe because when people are thinking of their physical health, they start thinking of time off from work? It's different from sleep. You can't do sleep at the same time. I don't know. I'm really interested to hear.
What do you think, Anca? What
Yeah,
is
there
the
are good hypotheses, huh? But the main reason you didn't find it. So first of all, yes, all apps have a spike in utilization, and then they drop to maximum 10% by the end of the year, with some exceptions. Yeah. So you have this utilization that is relatively the same for the physical health app. But the physical health app is effective in diminishing certain risks that are associated with diabetes, coronary heart disease. Yeah, just to mention the musculoskeletal issues. So in order to decrease the risk of an individual that is overweight, smoking, and not eating well, just from doing fitness, you need about 10 years. So the ROI for the first year, unless you have the same person constantly utilizing and measuring its metrics for 5 to 10 years, you cannot see a decrease in the risks, therefore the effectiveness. Okay, you cannot see it immediately. It's a long-term investment. And what is even funnier is that the most of the companies, they are offering fitness classes and apps to the young and healthy that actually need a lot more mental health support with addictions and everything else. And the people that actually need the physical health support, they are a bit older and more sedentary, and they also need the coaching for nutrition, most probably, to complete this. So the way corporations are looking at benefits, and most probably corporate benefits providers and consultants, have ready-made packages, is a bit wrongly directed to the different segments of population.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And do join us, Ari. We are wrapping up, and more questions. Do you have any questions, Ari? But I think this. It's very interesting. This perception of sometimes the people that most need it don't use it, and this is something that's clients state. Imagine clients that invest hugely in a gym with the current context, and nobody will go there, or only like the professional people that always go to the gym every day use it, but people that really need to go to the gym don't use it at all. So there's sometimes in the health solutions or health benefits or health promotion, there's a low utilization of the people that would benefit more, right? But do join in, Mary. Any comments or things to add?
Sorry, I missed the beginning. I'm sure I missed some important information, but I'll watch back on the recording because I'm very interested in where you're talking about competitiveness in the industry and it being like EAPs or kind of digital app-based services. Now, of course, what we know is that most EAPs are integrating digital app-based services with, sleep training, physical health activities, all sorts of stuff. So I'm imagining some of the ROI on that gets swallowed up by the overall ROI on the EAP program. But this is such useful conversation to, as Liliana said, to help us in those discussions with customers to say, well, actually, when you're spending X amount of money, you're getting a 10% ROI here, 4 on this bit, and that helps to break things down a little bit, because I think organizations often don't know where to put their focus. They don't know where to encourage people the most. I was particularly interested in how you said the ROI on a sleep app was, almost relative to an ROI on an EAP. Obviously, there's a much lower cost on a sleep app, but how do you have anything you can share on how that was measured in what impacts there were in more detail?
Yeah, sure. I can share the methodology that we are employing. We can have either a separate session, but I will send you the full deck.
Thank you.
For the methodology. It's very briefly, we are looking at for a certain demographic. So it's always at the company or organization level or state level. We really need the demographics of those people that are already having a predisposition statistically to get several mental and physical health conditions.
Yeah.
We are looking what are the costs that are driven by those conditions. So this is why our calculations always look at the organization level or the state level, as I said. We have our calculator pre-populated with epidemiological databases and productivity databases at country level, industry level, and occupational level. So when you enter the demographics of a population, our calculator knows from the industry, in average, what is the loss of that company per disease. Yeah. So we have a very high, the musculoskeletal and few mental health conditions. And as I said, I think a bit earlier, anxiety, mood disorders, and alcohol misuse, substance misuse. But as the demographic changes, then you have different order of conditions. If you have older employees, then you have more issues, physical issues than mental health issues, because they are a bit more stable there. And more chronic conditions coming in. As you have younger population, there you have much more mental health, more expensive issues, ranking first. So this is the first part. We enter the demographics of the population, and for the study, to do a comparative study, we use the same demographics. Yeah, so we took very average demographic for this study. Then we are entering the economic assumptions of the company. Why? Because each industry has its specificity. For a bank industry, for instance, when you look at their costs rates of training, rates of relocation, rates of accidents, they are very different versus a manufacturer or versus a warehousing. Why? Because the accident cost is very small in a bank. To be very honest, they can cut their finger with a paper clip. There's not much accident there. But they do have higher relocation rates. So that bucket of cost is more important for them. So then for each industry, and in this case, we chose manufacturing industry to be, again, very relevant for a lot of clients. You need to enter the these rates that are specific to the industry. And therefore, our calculator will also tell us how much, how is the split of losses per different bucket of cost. Okay, how much the conditions of the employees that you are measuring are costing that employer in terms of training, relocation, absenteeism, distraction, presenteeism, turnover. Then there is a third part where you enter the program data. And this is very important because there are not two programs that are alike. Even in EAP industry, there are a bit of difference. Okay, so there we need to understand the cost of the program, how many people are using it, what is the turnover of the program, people that called and never went to the end of their sessions in a way that provided them effective counseling so that we can discount that. And then our calculator will see the effectiveness of an employee program in diminishing the different types of costs. So how much it diminishes, absenteeism, presenteeism, turnover, accidents, disability, medical, depends on the cost of the country. Some countries, medical is not relevant. And in the end, it will just calculate the savings and apply the ROI formula. So you know the benefit to cost ratio of having that particular program for that particular company. And also shows you automatically what is the minimum price, the minimum utilization for break even. Yeah, so the minimum utilization for your program, not to cause you any loss, but not to gain money. And the maximum price for which you have the break even, meaning the same, the benefit and the cost for $1 invested, you get $1. So this is the methodology of Wellcast ROI without any visual support. I hope it was not.
You've explained that so clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's quite precise and use a lot of yes, and it's a refined method, right? So it means that you've been learning also how to do this for many, many years, since 1993 or 2?
1993. The calculator was born because it's founder Lou Servizio. He's a guru in productivity. So he was actually, in charge of disease management systems. And therefore, he needed to calculate the productivity and also the ROI of any type of intervention. And now we have a universal calculator because he spent a lot of years refining it on employee assistance program afterwards when he became the president of CGP Brazil. So we have a specific one for employee assistance program, but we also use, the full Wellcast ROI for pharmaceutical industry. So we can tell the ROI of a diagnostic program or for any other type of program you can imagine, like I mentioned, a sleep up, or a coaching program, or a fitness program, etc.
That's what's interesting is how widely applicable it is. And you made me think they're talking about gurus on productivity. We're looking here at the productivity of an EAP program when applied to an organization. I wonder if tools like this can tell us anything about the productivity of an EAP service. Like, some of the information you shared has got me thinking that, I can say to a customer, driving good engagement with sleep advice and sleep, support has a really good return on investment for you as an organization. So that's me being more efficient as an EAP, being more productive as an EAP by guiding our customers, not just by throwing all of the services at them, but by saying, hey, I would like you to focus on this, because we can support our customers in being more effective, but also be more productive ourselves as an EAP.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely, you can improve. I will not use the same terms, but you can improve the impact.
Yes.
The impact and the value of the services mix you are offering, and the economic impact on your customer to be even higher. Productivity, we call just the output of an employee. And we don't want to employ it for different meaning so that we don't create confusion.
Sure.
Now, most of the ROI calculations, I've seen some really bad ones, they are using salary. Well, salary is a good indicator of how much you lose if you pay the person that doesn't come. But it's how much you lose on salary. It's not how much you lose on output. And actually, the economic impact needs to consider the output, which we call productivity of an employee.
Yeah.
And the productivity of an employee is very different from industry to industry, from country, industry to country in same industry. Yeah, so because if you take an IT person and you are giving it a role in the city hall here in Geneva, and the computer, and you ask him to do a few Excels and a few other things for the apps there, well, its productivity is going to be different than if you take the same guy with the same characteristics and you employ him in the Google office, because there he will have a lot of other, technology, know-how,
Resources. Yeah.
team, and so on. That will make him have a different output. Therefore, if the average output is different company by company, therefore the ROI of the same program for two companies is going to be different, even if you have the same price and the same utilization. So there are many ways in which you can refine your go-to-market strategy to actually increase the impact, not only on the services mix that you offer, but also in adjusting the price to the industry and country.
True, true. So many insights, a lot to do and how to improve our go-to-market strategy and navigate the economy change. So I don't know if you have any more questions, Ari, or we wrap up. Can we wrap up?
Yeah,
So
please,
thank
that was it for me. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. It's a pleasure. I hope it's
Yeah. So
interesting
Anca,
despite the name finance.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of our members enjoy watching these back on recording, so hello to all of you watching on
yes,
recording as well. But
that's
there's
the good
a
part about
lifetime of
recording.
information here.
So for sure. Thank you so much, Anca. And for anyone that will listen afterwards, please do reach out to Anca. She's completely available to show the deck, to show all the details, and improve our also arguments and economic arguments to fight for that budget with more skill, right? It's also about competences and how can we actually keep our foot in the market and evolve and grow as an employee assistance provider and address competition positively. That's what we are here about, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much and see you on the next DigiCafé and have a great rest
Thank
of the
you very much.
week.
See you next time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.